I was expecting going into this for the second map in terms of agent composition for the side of Catface. Kestrel stepping away from the Neon in the first map. I was like, probably they're going to step away from the Neon in the second map too, and they're going to go with the tried and true of double duelist, the 2021 style that we previously witnessed and are earlier on today. So you have Kestrel remaining on the Jet. Raven stays on to the Rays on this map as well. While for Mass Treasure, they want to continue with that Clove in the composition so that it could add a little bit more firepower after smoking on sites to help swerve in these team fights. So I don't think those compositional changes are big, or it's going to break the macro around any of these two teams. So it really comes down to just ironing out the micro here.
And there was a bit of mental warfare, as we call it, near the end of that previous map, and you could tell that Catface were having a lot of fun. And when you can have fun, and you can be confident, and you can take a decisive win like 13-7, you should be set up well for Split. But even our last series was very similar, a 13-7 for SAT Esports against Ghost Gaming. Then Ghost came back on Split, killing them 13-4. So hold on to your horses, folks, because Split can be an absolute circus.
Agreed. And they'll start off with Mass trying to take some mid control in the first place. So a 1-3-1 on their side, while Catface is full taking advantage of the A line.
So he wants to take advantage, but a 1v3, especially against two duelists, is no joke. Oh, hello? Wait, oh my god, the Prowler! Wait, the plot armor that Lunafox just had was crazy.
That's so nice too, and as you hear so much noise on middle in the first place, as the Labyrinth gets his pick, you know the rest of the players are up towards the A site.
Spike planted.
Okay, we're planting at A. We have our Neon kind of going through the defender's spawn. Now they're being chased by a whole army, looking to cut things off. Now this is a tricky situation. Does Catface just wait for this eager duelist to show face yet again? And Mask
Last player
slow
standing.
things down a little bit into the deeper rounds. So now we'll just wait for Catface to clean things up. Logic. Oh, it's a 1 versus 3. Someone's on the spike. Logic is able to just keep 1v1ing. The spike defuse is being held, so it just barely goes in the way of Catface despite a 1v4.
And it's always stressful when it's Logic that's still alive, because you know that Logic can still keep the hopes of Mask in winning the round. Great little positioning towards the end. If anything, everything that before that on the side of Catface was beautiful, right? In terms of hearing all the audible calls towards the A side, the pushing towards the A main, triple facing the lurk on the A side as well against Zoe was all perfect. And then it came down to hero plays on Logic's side, almost clutches it, but thankfully Kestrel stayed stuck on that spike and now brings out the Outlaw for round number 2.
Scary. Gave Catface the pistol, facing a deficit. Mask can at least throw everybody they can at this fence side. Usually it's just kind of like a solo hold, at least in most defenders' setups. And still not enough for Catface to get absolutely pushed off the line from good util, and Mask make the most out of that. And that's an upgrade for Snowy on the Guardian, and leaving the site open for the taking.
Bye.
Oh, open-ish, I guess. The Outlaw will show face, and Mask are so eager to run out of the site before the plan has even happened. The plan still has not happened, and they're just ready to fight. Valorant, by the way, now turned into a death match.
Find you.
The anti-eco, the good guns are coming into the site. The element of time would have been in Mask's favor.
One enemy remaining.
Planting is not of an objective to Mask. And now Swerve just takes some shots, and it ends in Catface's favor.
I love that we're jumping. This time I'm loving that we're jump baiting so that Raven could actually pick up these kills so they could build up the showstopper ASAP. So that's super nice. I think if anything, again, it comes down to, yes, you have an opening over on the A side. There's already map control being taken by Catface and lanes that are being uncontested. So this time around, when they're realizing that they're playing against the eco, if there's nobody contesting them in the first place, they're probably just grouped up to try to get a plant down. So you get value off the lurk. Kestrel holds that B main, is able to get that backstab at the same time. So the Outlaw could still be fairly good to move in this bonus round to do some armor damage.
Oh, wait a minute. It's just a bloodbath in mid. And Catface do not benefit from it. Despite some good ideas around the C's nade,
I've got
you
your
force Catface
trail.
to swing into you, and Catface don't come out of that.
Wow.
Kind of interesting, but Mask have, you know, they have good weapons. Now Mask have an open sight to plan in.
Push short screens is not good though.
One enemy remaining.
Good if you hit your shot.
Yeah, at the end of the day it does, right?
In theory.
I think it was the Seekers that kind of just made the move towards that spawn though, so I respect that, because that Cabbage was going all the way through middle thinking that the other player was so far behind to help out Kestrel that you could get a timing towards screen, but thankfully that Vandal shot is good enough.
This round is good enough for Mask 2 to deny that bonus out of Catface, and I feel like that's going to be a trend that we have to note of just how is the skirmish in mid going to go. We saw that Catface have plans around their fade, around their raise, and now the showstopper has just been earned from Raven. So if you're expecting all of this initial presence from Mask to be in mid, that's a good spot to throw out the showstopper. Maybe you want to try and do a paranoia showstopper play in Garage. Catface seem to have a lot of plans in their strategy book.
Might be easy to escape too though, that's the thing. But Raven is going to try to take an aggro line before. Sometimes you want to try to go for like a prowler play so that if it spots somebody, you could showstopper through that, but instead they have the A side hold on that fade.
Wow. So yeah, that paranoia peek playing Garage while Elaborate peeks in mid and gets a first blood. Again, ever so trusted to be solo, Vice well triggered, and that's maybe what Mask have to do in the early game. Just try to get all this Sentinel util out of the way, get some looks, and Zoe's vision fades to black. And Mask are really not getting ahead of this round.
I also think if you're trying to get good value off the showstopper right now, they should rotate some positions around too. But that said, we still have some good core positions in the first place from Kestrel to get info on the last three players of Mass moving towards A here.
Kestrel's about to have a lot on their plate, depending on if this hit was gonna happen immediately, which Mask are taking the time to explore ramp, time the double swing, and perfect against Elaborate. And Raven can hear that stomping go by. Getting it smoked off by the Clove. Waits for their moment to shine. Big reveal off the fade there of Luna and Raven and Luna. Everybody swings right on time to make a pain sandwich out of Mask.
At the end of the day, they didn't even eat the showstopper after all. So Catface continues to have such a strong macro in this game. So again, I think first off, if you don't have the prowler for the showstopper, which is kind of like what you're trying to do sometimes, or you're trying to seize into the boombot and then use your showstopper, I guess it wasn't drafted in the first place as that type of plan you wanted to do here for Catface. It was just reactionary if you're going to get run down here on this B side more than anything else. So to keep them on that 2-1-2 still kind of worked out in their favor. They got some good picks out of it.
Speed, aggression, the name of the game, with a stinger in the hand of a Neon. Pressing fire now. Swerve hoping. Swerve around this corner and at least get Kestrel, and especially with this Viper's wall coming up. I like that Master leveraging what they can with what they got. It's not going to be the best of round. Good damage into the backline of Catface and Mask. They just are outnumbering. This could be some good upgrades. Vandal now for Snowy as a rocket whistles right through Logic. Keeping this a 4-4 game.
That spike down though to keep things off, and that's gonna slow things down for a bit too for Mass to regain control.
Taking a second to plan things out. Maybe a fake, and as soon as they hear the shots check in their corners, they are gonna leave and follow into the footsteps of Swerve. And remember, this was full buy from Catface against Mask on a half buy, so we'll see if they can pull a rabbit out of their hat.
30 seconds left.
And around the corner is Raven. No boombot, no nade,
Spike
no
planted.
friends. It has to be careful. To really respect Mask. Flank will be Blue Owl in the 1v2, but Luna Fox already drops down, makes a splash, a big impact as Meow's Catface is retaking Suze, and Elaborate doubling their kills is massive, fully taking over the site, and Swerve has to work their way back in. Deadly game of Ring Around the Rosie with Luna Fox basically one shot. And they still need to defend, but Swerve's patience is really helping out with here. Someone else on the spike.
Here we go.
We're waiting for the perfect time and elaborate as steady as ever for the round for Catface.
I was just about to say, Swerve did an excellent job with the 1v2 and understood when it was the right moment for them to peek out to isolate a fight. Because as you're jiggling back and forth and you tapped onto the spike probably about 3 times at this point, somebody has to stick it at a half no matter what while the other one's protecting. So you've done enough audible to actually get that pick. And then when it came down to the 1v1, when you slid into new box, they felt like they gave their position away. They could get wallbanged, so they're gambling on an overdrive and to get the pick. But then they got caught off guard and ended up being a nice little 1v1 won by Elaborate in the end. Everything worked out well in the very beginning, but it's still, once again, Catface. Dude, I have a feeling they're going to run away with this game with how this first half has been going so far.
Absolutely. Like their teamwork, execution, clutch power. I could go on, but Elaborate, I don't think they can go on and on very long at 10 HP, but they have backup. And Blue Owl has been very much in charge of B. That consistent force, the paranoia, and a Vise wall. So Catface have the right setup here for B.
The op's looking. If you're not flashing or dogging at this point, it's free. There it is.
Oh, right behind the dog, too, and was waiting for what was going to come up behind the dog. Get a decent idea from Kestrel, but Mask solid with the util. It's just actually winning the gunfights behind the util has to be the name of the game. Swerve detected. Catface, no troubles ahead, and especially when the Vise wall isn't triggered here at B. And it's so far forward that you're not going to be able to do it without being detected. Speaking of being detected, Blue Owl is trying to dance around the neon wall. At least Raven can pick up the pieces. Gets 2 for the road. And it's a 3 versus 1. Mask need every round they can get. Just based on the trends we've seen in the first map. Now the plant will go down and Unifox position detected.
It worked out well here too when they had the Steel Garden for Elaborate to try to stall, but there was just too many members of Mass to run up and to get these trades.
Mass cut the score down in half, and they'll have their own Steel Garden coming up. Definitely is going to make the job a lot easier. Mask haven't really been fighting for garage control. It's been a lot of mid prio into maybe A ramps, so they're still trying to figure out what is the quote weakest side, or really what's been successful for Mask, because it's only been 2 attacking rounds that they've won. Yeah.
The thing is right now is for Mask, they're getting good information from understanding for first map to second map that into the mid round, Catface likes to go exploring and try to take lane control, but taking it solo. So if they're going to continue to identify these gaps, they could start leveraging this Sky and Neon to get some good openers right now into the mid round. So slowing things at the very beginning is, I'm super okay with it so far because they're getting good value out of it in the mid round to punish those players after. Look at the economy now. Catface, despite looking dominant on the first half, is already into an eco now.
I like that Catface just decided to play this passively. They brought up an orb in mid, which recruited Lunafox into the B site. You want your sheriffs to be able to stand still and shoot and not have to drive by. And you can play off the Thorns and, of course, the Vise wall. And that's going to be the plan for Catface. A better angle around, and now there's an upgrade available for Catface off that garage win from Lunafox. And this is not going to be a site that Masks want to visit yet. So you're going to go toward A.
This is going to be good still, as you're going to pin everybody towards the A site. A Nightfall, a rifle, and daggers are still available.
Spike planted.
Oh, Kestrel, come on.
No daggers
surely.
available.
No damage available. That's tough. Lights are a little too bright. Turns on the right position, and Kestrel at least gets 1. Not the worst, but it screams a lot of trouble as Swerve shuts the door. Lunafox shuts them up for good. 1v1. Nightfall will detect that player over towards ramps. And now you also need to defuse. And this is going to be easily checked from Rotten. Defuse not being held. Rotten checks it one last time. And Lunafox ends up winning it for the 4K. And plenty of time to spare.
A big round for Catface for the Thrifty too. The double push out towards B main where they're getting pressured on top mid was everything as well. You've lost that position. You talked about mid prio in the first place here for Lemon Kiwi. But at the same time, Mask hasn't been adding too much pressure into the extremities at the beginning of these rounds. So Catface understood that there's opportunities to take. They're going to gamble to push towards that B main. It was a 2v1 at that spot, and it was a weapon picked up from the hands of Rotten. And that weapon was everything for Luna Fox to be able to retake the site with a team, baiting her teammates so that she gets value out of the Vandal and winning that 1v1.
There sees nade, opportunity for Catface. Oh, and it lands! Perfection! And I mean, this was already a same, you know, sheriff game. Come on, let them play the game. Catface. Oh, look at that bait switch, man. This duo is insane over at B. From a thrifty to a flawless. Catface are taking over.
That's going to bring up the economy for sure for Catface. And my apologies too, when I was looking at the previous round, the 1v1 was against Rotten, but I think they picked up the weapon left behind from Zoe on that lurk on that B main. Nonetheless, it still comes to 2 impressive rounds from Catface. And again, economy built up. They could buy this round, they could buy the next round, but it's actually Mask that once again has backs against the wall. Both duelists getting ready to seize Nate fight potentially here into the A main control. Another great read by Catface.
This is looking like the better team right now. And a showstopper to the face. That'll silence you for good. At least it's traded though. Like, Mask don't go out without kicking and screaming through it. And now Mask still try to prio mid while the spike waits for a good option.
I'm gonna spot the lurk though, still in the insert on A main from Zoe. It comes down to the Joe peaks of Owl, who decides to fall back. I think I like this a little bit more. Because off contact, you can still slow down with Razor Vines and funnel everybody back towards the A side still. And even with the late lurk timing from Zoe, gets spotted this time around too by the Jet. Now they have to rethink their strat.
Seekers, but then into Thorns. This is just, you can't even follow through on the Seekers. It allows Catface to shoot down the Seekers, reposition. You may need to invest in another ult if you're Mask. And it's going to be the Steel Garden from Rotten. And maybe you didn't even need it. Catface thrown off their game and now sit on the outside looking in. And Zoe also playing a safe lurk game means they can get the Viper's Pit online. 3 ults invested now for Mask. Surely this converts. Kestrel and Luna Fox still linger in the Viper's Pit. You need to finish off the round if you're Mask. And surely that'll be the case. This Kestrel has no HP.
Yeah, even walking outside of the pit has no HP remaining too, so she should save the weapon. Well, actually, again, money's still very good for Catface, so keep it expensive against her opponents. Smoke's going to be 6 seconds, but unfortunately, Kestrel's going to go all the way back towards main to try to get the picks.
Seem to get the cutoff, but will be at the very last second. If Mask even leave Garage. It's not going to be the case, so hey, Mask are not done yet. 3 rounds, super easy to come back from.
Yeah, it was elaborate. Unfortunately, that got caught a little bit there. Even her position's perfect. There was a couple of seconds still that she could shoot before she tries to fall back, but instead saw that pressure was coming through from the Steel Garden by Rotten, that she was trying to run back and be outside of the radius towards that back of the site. So knife out, gets spotted, gets picked off, and that opened the site there for Mask to drop the pit. But you talked about it here, Lemon Kid. We took 3 ults to get that round for Mask. Whilst you still have great money for Catface and even no op moving into this round despite them having the money to do so.
It was a pretty hit or miss from the Catface side, and they still pulled out a very dominant win. Might as well just stick to your guns, and this lurk from Zoe could be in some trouble as the smoke comes down. Zoe is left without giving a good option to Mask, so they'll stick to their initial plan. And they're not able to, Mask are not able to trigger this Vise util in B, so it gives so much safety to elaborate. And even when they re-peak, Rotten is not able to give an option for Mask anymore. Elaborate can kind of just do it all on their own. It's gonna call for help, and help has arrived, but it's still a 3K for Elaborate and a flawless for Catface.
Yeah, call for help for Mask, actually, is what Elaborate is doing, because they're just operating around the map, operating on their site. And B side's theirs to just hold. And when there's no big ults to really pressure you here for Elaborate, she's able to find some good areas to really find her timings to get these picks here as she anchors up towards this B site. So finally a timeout being called this time around here for Mask. It's surprising that it took this long though, because again, I feel like this has always been Catface pretty much having full control of this map. I think it came down to like what the round that they got. It's because they had an ult round, so might as well. But now that they don't have the ults to work with for pretty much the remainder of this half, with the exception of the overdrive and the not done yet, it's probably going to try to cook something with that here, as economy is also pretty much in shambles for round 11.
And I agree, because Catface in the last 4 rounds have had 2 flawless and 1 thrifty. So this is not just trading rounds, this is now dominant one-sided rounds, even with equal buys. And Mask winning the round 9 off of 3 ults being invested. So I really want to be convinced that Mask can win a round with just really good teamwork, and just to also not get traded out. And I know that's kind of hard because Catface really are just that good. And Swerve really impressed me on the Waylay when it came to Pearl, so I'm hoping they could have a really good overdrive, but see how this goes here as they lean toward A.
We'll see. There's no pop flash for the A ramp though. They're trying to fake somehow a B take. Second flash will probably be used to try to take A ramp control, maybe, but it seems to work. Look at this Lemon Q with that one singular flash, still kept 3 players towards towards middle. Sorry.
Waiting for the right moment. Now the smokes come down. We'll see if the Viper's wall's there. And look back to see at what point does the overdrive get pulled. I imagine it's going towards ramps, but then you have thorns, you have flashes. Everywhere you go, it seems like Elaborate is one step ahead. Usually always set up at B. Now Elaborate is ready to greet. Mask. First, oh, good shot into Elaborate. Now 28 HP. Now needing to just play off their util. Person that can make contact is Raven. Teleport now to be recruited into the fray. No time for the paranoia and no time to shoot back either. Mask limited but not stopped. The overdrive kicks into gear and Mask focus at least on getting the plant down and protecting that, especially when Heaven hasn't been fully earned from Mask. And Rotten just with a bandit could use a little bit more help, so Snowy will activate the ult and surely Luna Fox is taken care of. And now very clinical from Mask. Yeah, Kestrel's now just playing chicken against bullets. In a pretty rich spot to just do a lot of economical damage, but liking kind of the process of how Mask cooked the map in terms of the ramp into the overdrive, but also not cooking with the overdrive. I felt like Mask sometimes would overcook and be too aggressive without kind of taking care of the initial business first. So good round. Now can they make it 7-5?
Yeah. To be honest, I think they were kind of lucky by that position from Catface going into that round, because I'll TP towards the A site, but where was the real support to try to play the crossfire in that spot? When the overdrive was executed, Zoe ran into the site and procced up the wall, so there was 0 value off the overdrive, and everybody else was still caught behind there. Yet nobody took advantage of that spot either. They were still so heavily focused on taking individual fights on the top of Heaven that Mask will overtake with numbers once again. This has been probably the pain point for MEOW. Just from time to time having small micro doesn't work out in their favor, and then they have to play like a 1 versus 3 or a 1 versus 4 in different areas that allows for Mask to convert these rounds.
There's always a different look to this Catface defense too. Where Elaborate has been the main objective for Mask to figure out. Where this device wall at garage, now it's device wall in mid. It was an A hold before. Setup is already holding strong as the Nightfall is thrown from Luna Fox after hearing the stack towards garage. And even if it doesn't proc a fight from Catface, it's good information, and Mask, it'll force them to go to a different site.
And the Prowler is going to confirm too the fallback from the B main side, so that's going to pull these over rotates on a different angle. Nonetheless, if Mask tries to go for a re-hit towards this B site, you still have the Steel Garden available.
That's going to come out no matter what. Oh, Paranoia right through Mask. That is going to delay things even more. Bail out this raise. As Kestrel adjusts. barrel initially, get the heads up through the smoke. It's kind of chaotic for Mask to try and shoot through. Now the Steel Garden is just hurting Mask, or hurting everyone even more. 10 seconds, everyone just jump on top of it. Now 8-4 is how the half ends in favor of Catface, and only a few rounds away. Especially depending on this pistol, getting to the main event.
I just love how it was basically a turtle versus the hare race between Elaborate and Swerve, because Swerve has the high gear going back and forth, trying to get space on one side to the other, and Elaborate is just trying to go for rotates, trying to stall with the Steel Garden. At the end of the day, the Steel Garden wins because it actually hit 2 or 3 players on the top of B Heaven. That Catface was able to hold back on the defensive line. Again, they've been looking pretty good when it comes down to making sure that they have good reads. Don't want to get punished in those moments where you're gonna get caught off like small timings that Mask was able to take, but overall it's still looking pretty clean here for Catface. Pistol round for Red Control. Here's the Paranoia moving through. Nobody's really holding it on that side for Mask.
Explosive opening here for Catface, really leveraging this raise and how quickly these duelists can be mobile around the map. You trigger all the Vise util you want, and Catface still hold the space and really unaffected. Can't say the same for Blue Owl. What can you do against 3 people running you down? Catface take advantage of what the initial push was all about, getting the spike down out in the open. And now, powering through screens. Lunafox gets a heads up, gets concussed a bit by the Neon. Mask are really starting to develop on these angles. Oh, Raven, that was a clean shot with the classic. Mask need a big win here in screens, or Catface are going to take the pistol, and that can mean all the dominoes will fall away. Swerve and Logic, big heroic duo from Pearl. Right-click classic, and it's a classic win for Catface.
Proactivity is the name of the game for Catface in that pistol round, which was beautiful. I think even if Blue Owl falls, she gets full information that there's 3 players pushing her down. So what do? They probably take space towards screens. They jiggle to get information at that spot. The wall is still up and available on that flank, but you still have 2 bodies watching that wall, because you would expect 2 or 3 players flanking from behind, and they just had a perfect read. The only gap was really towards mid vents, but that felt like maybe for them the call was going to be too obvious and too much noise for the defenders to make, that they chose to play the extremities, and they read correctly in that round. So nicely done for Catface, and that forces the walk down middle and for Elaborate to watch for it.
Just die.
Ooh.
There.
That's why you got 2 bullets in the Outlaw, baby. Surely you can't miss the same one. Catface ain't gonna miss a beat trying to get into A. And Elaborate, feels like they could take on the whole team by themselves. Okay, I got scared when the pistol came out, and you throw everything but the kitchen sink, and it feels like Elaborate will still hit the sink out of the park. Catface, another day at the office in the anti-eco, bringing 3 weapons into the bonus potentially. Snowy did recover the Outlaw from Elaborate after eventually, trading out.
I think after that second kill, though, throw away the Outlaw or save it for the next round. Can't leave that back in the hands of somebody like Elaborate. There you go, already running back towards that spot. There you go. That's what I like to see. Don't give them a chance, because you know the economy's not necessarily going to be the best here for Mask. You have to buy good util into the next round. Sky util super expensive, so they could still have to buy only half shields.
This place is
So you're
nice,
making
but
sure
not
here
nice
at this
enough to
point
die
that you're
in.
still
Let's
putting the
win and get
chances
out
on
of
your
here.
side to catch up in this game. So look at this buy. You have Odin for Swerve, full shields, no fast lane. Logic going full shields with Vandal, no dog. And then you only have Snowy with small shields too. So you're seeing how expensive this round is for Mass to try to stay alive in this game.
Let's go.
And that was off the power of the Outlaw.
This is a very familiar scoreline of Catface going up 11-4 on Pearl. Mask pulled off a thrifty and kind of gave us some hope there, but Mask, it's a must-win round, it feels, at least just for the morale, and Lunafox got in the middle of all of that, despite the Viswell being triggered, not isolated by it. So Catface have done a good job of dealing with the Vise util early, something that Mask I wish they did more of on the other side. Okay, little jump peek there from Mask, and the bird will tell you What you need to know here, if you're Mask.
It's interesting.
The shot was interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Trapped by Odin.
Right now, like, Mass doesn't really need to over-rotate, right? Because MEOW did so much noise across the board, but we'll hold that thought for a bit. Let's see how it opens up the map as Lunafox gets a pick.
Someone's gonna go pick up the spike. We'll get the plant down. If the round even lasts that long, honestly. Logic and Swerve. Really like this duo from the side of Mask.
30 seconds
Odin,
left.
it's loud and it's proud, and Swerve's ready to get fast with it too, but walks right into the middle of a crunch. Takes one down with them. Tries to make the job easy for someone like Logic. Been a 1v3 before, catches the spike planter, but not the help around it. So 11-4, very deja vu here for Mask.
Yeah. And it's funny too, just a little detail in that kill feed that somehow Swerve still died first, yet still gets a kill with the Odin after because they were on a slide tackle with the Odin somehow. But yeah, I was going to say Mask didn't really need to over-rotate in the first place because Catface did so much noise instantly and simultaneously on different lanes. That was the first bad micro that I've seen so far from Catface, because you double push towards A, you prowlered middle, and then you also boombot it towards B. So they know you're playing a 2-1-2. You win duels because you're just owning so far in this series. So mistakes can definitely be easily corrected with how currently Catface are shooting.
Yeah, this Catface team put in so much work for this match, and you can tell just by the confidence how they're executing their plans. And Blue Owl, ooh, I was wondering if that paranoia is going to come out. And wanting to conserve it for as long as possible. Logic's position here, the crossfire with Swerve's pretty important. Towards Sheriff and an actual rifle. Logic, doesn't matter what weapon you put in their hand, but Blue Owl, teleports up and just rule what's the setup of Mask. So Catface come out on top, and Rotten and Zoe have to pick up the pieces, and Zoe is just not able to live on, drops right into the hands of Catface. Rotten in a 1v3
planted.
with no upgrade in sight, unfortunately for them. And the Prowler will detect them, so it does not get any better, and it does not get any easier for Mask, and especially Rotten. 1v3, all eyes from Catface are on when this Sentinel is going to come through the doorway. And there it is. Match point, series point for Catface, 1 round away from the main event.
Match point.
And if I want to be nitpicky about things too, though, I kind of wish you leave the contact for Elaborate or for Kestrel, so you build up the orbs just to make sure you confirm rounds in case Mass start coming back here like they did on that first map of Pearl for a couple of rounds. That said, though, it still ends up being a nice little entry by Blue Owl. They were super quiet on the defensive side because they weren't getting too much action. But when it's time for Blue Owl to try to create space for the team, man, she's doing an excellent job. I think she was like 1 in 7 or something like that going into the half. So now is being supportive and also fragging for the team and looking to close it now in this round.
Nightfall doesn't connect on anyone, but they don't know. I mean, you expect someone to be on the site, so I don't blame Catface on the ult usage there. Immediately get Blue Owl in position for screens. An Elaborate trusted watch ramp solo, and that is still too much when you send all 4. Snowy's having a big round, though. That you love to see. Mask need to purchase every round they can get. And ideally maintain all the rifles as well, but Kestrel is very heroic this round, but Snowy has not stopped yet. Including has ult. Blue Owl 1v2. Readjust behind that. How that is a sick play. But the turnaround from Mask was even better. Oh my god.
No. That would have been so sick. What a big way to end this series if Blue Owl was able to land that, because the paranoia hit both of them. And it's just unlucky because it is a nerfed paranoia. It goes out faster, but it doesn't last as long. But she goes for the TP play, gets the sound cue, but while you're dodging on the other side and trying to set the smoke down, Snowy just saw the last person at the top, and on that radar, able to turn around and win that 1v1, keeps Masks alive in the game. But holy crap, was that a nice try by Blue Owl. That would have been so sick. That's like VCT level Omen plays.
Right? Oh my god, the talent on display here is insane. Mask are gonna need to really turn up. Now you got an Outlaw, you got Vandals, Swerve has a Judge. Great spot to hold the Judge, by the way. You just have to be patient not try to get too much information, or you can get one tapped and Swerve does realize some presence there. You don't know if it's just a lurk or not. Meanwhile, Garage has been suppressed, and now it's an all-out war. And Elaborate is just simply the GOAT. Has to be the best player in this lobby. Blue Owl gets their win, and Catface are going for the win, as Rotten is the last one left for Mask on a series point, match point, 1v4, and that is all she wrote. Catface will be advancing to the Game Changers main event.